You may have heard us say that the US spec Ford Ranger is based on the European model, but what are the actual differences? Well, you've come to the right place, because in this video I'm going to show you basically all of them with the help of our viewer Miha from Europe, who created this entire full review of his Wildtrak Ford Ranger. So I'm going to let him kick us off, but I also want to tell you two options on his European truck that I really am jealous of and I wish were on this US spec model. So let's get going. Take away, Miha.
Hey TFL gang, Miha here from Slovenia, coming to you with a video about the international version of the Ford Ranger. Now, as you can see, it's actually pretty similar to the US version, but it does have some changes. So, up first, a different grille. It's a bit bigger. I quite like it actually. But you only get it on the top Wildtrak trim, which is this. Another difference is, of course, the bumper. It's plastic, and you guys in the US get a steel bumper. I would prefer to have a steel bumper, but I do quite like the appearance of this plastic one. So underneath, of course, we have skid plates, since this is the Wildtrak trim. And you might have noticed that there's no chin spoiler. It does come standard on the truck, but I had it removed because, well, I don't really understand why it had it. In my opinion, there's really no use for them. They are supposed to give you better MPGs and yada yada yada, but I didn't like the look. It was scraping when off-roading, and removing it made the approach angle actually a little better.
Yes, of course, Miha has a very desirable Wildtrak edition of the Ranger in a beautiful orange color. What you see right here is a US spec truck, 2019 XL truck with a couple of different packages that I'll show you in a minute. But the main difference is up front. So Miha showed you his front bumper, how it's a plastic cap that goes all the way down. Well, for US, yes, full steel bumper. Ford said this at the introduction of this truck in 2019, that they really wanted to make that separation and make the truck a little bit more tough. They said that's what US customers expect. Then on the bottom here, this is the FX4 off-road edition of the Ranger. Of course, tow hooks are prominent. I did not see prominent tow hooks on Miha's truck. And now below, skid plates and no chin spoiler either. So Miha said he removed his chin spoiler, but I didn't have to remove anything here. We have little winglets. And of course, chin spoilers are for fuel efficiency and aerodynamics, but as soon as you have an off-road ready truck, you don't want it to hang down so it gets hit. Then there may be a few differences in the different grills. Of course, that also matters if you have different trim levels of the truck. And then headlights are mostly the same. And overall, if you stand back and if you look at the truck from kind of like 20 feet, I think they look very similar, at least from the front. And then, of course, there's wheels and tires.
Now, moving off to the side, I still have the standard Wildtrak 18-inch wheels on there. And I am currently running some Dunlop Winter Sport 5 winter tires, since it is winter here in Slovenia, though currently we don't have any snow. Will upgrade to a 17-inch wheel and some proper all-terrains. I'm thinking Falcon Wild Peaks AT3Ws. Further on, there's a little Wildtrak logo there, some Ranger lettering here, and no side steps. Again, stock truck came with the side steps. I had them removed because, well, they were hanging pretty low, and I'm pretty tall. I'm 6'5". I don't need them to get into the truck. So I just had them removed. No point in them for me. So Everything is pretty standard over here. The suspension is completely stock. I haven't done anything to it. And over here we have the FX4 sticker. Now, there's actually no such thing as the FX4 Ranger here in Europe. But I did put the FX4 sticker on. Now, bear with me. Usually the Wildtreks come with a pretty cool 4x4 sticker over here. Mine didn't. I bought it used. Maybe the previous owner removed it. Anyway, I tried to get that 4x4 sticker. Couldn't find it anywhere. Actually ordered it twice. Never showed up. And then I saw this FX4 sticker on eBay. And I think it looks pretty good on the truck. Now the truck actually has some off-road goodies that you get with the FX4 package in the States, such as the locking rear diff and full skid plates. So basically it is an FX4. All right, over here at the rear end, we have a big Ranger sticker. Actually, it's not embossed like in the US version. Another Wildtrak sticker, Ford badge with a reversing camera. And then we have the tailgate, which is pretty standard. It's not damped, so it does fall down. I might actually change that in the future. But it does have a handy little torsion bar here, so it's pretty easy to lift up, actually, with just one finger. Now, next up, we have the roll top cover over here. Unhook it, there you go. Push it, it rolls down, and it exposes the bed. As you can see, I am running some sandbags and bags of salt in the back. Now, as I mentioned, it is wintertime here in Slovenia, and I carry a little bit of weight over the rear axle. Plus, the added benefit being I can throw some sand down or salt if I get stuck in some snow. So let's talk about the bed. Now, a huge difference between the US spec and the international spec Ranger is that ours can haul a whole lot more. So this one is rated to haul 1,000 kilos. I think that's about 2,100 pounds or something. So that's quite a lot. Now, obviously, that means it rides a bit firmer, but I'm okay with that. And another thing about the bed here, we got some tie-down points here, there, and up front. The same on the other side. And mine actually came equipped with an optional system over here. So you can take these hooks out and place them wherever you want. And just put them back in. And you can use them as extra tie-down points. I really like it. They're very useful. Every truck should have that standard, in my opinion. Now, up front near the cab, I just have some bins with some off-road recovery gear and some straps for tying down cargo, stuff like that. Now, if you want to close the roller shutter, you just tug on it, close the gate. Now, once you close the gate, you can't open it. You actually have to drop it. There's a little pull down here, which unlatches it, and then you can push it. It's from a company called Mountaintop Industries, and I had it installed by the guys over at bullbars.si. Great guys, they do terrific work. Definitely gonna go back there to get some more stuff done. So another difference is, of course, the taillights. So this is where the US spec has us beat. Those look actually a lot better. These are just old school halogen lights. Nothing really fancy there. Might upgrade them in the future, might not. Down below we have the tow bar. So the tow bar integration is not perfect in my opinion. It does come down pretty low. But I haven't really scraped it off-road, so I guess the departure angle is still pretty good. I think it's like 21 degrees or something like that. This vehicle can tow 3,500 kilos or 3.5 tons. I believe that is the same as the US spec version. So that would be about 7,500 pounds if I'm not mistaken.
I'm beginning to like Micha's truck more and more. Here in the US, we have an alloy wheel with this actually a cover. So this is actually a black cover that you may be able to take off, although it's kind of difficult to do, especially in the cold. But it is a 17-inch wheel and Dynapro ATM Hankook tires, which are basically came stock on this truck. The tires are 265/65 R18, and this is part of their kind of a blackout package. So I'm not a huge fan of these, but you voted and you said that we should keep these wheel covers on this truck to keep it complete. So the wheel and tire combination here is stock. We also have stock side steps. This is what the US version looks like. And as we move back, both of us have FX4s. So that's pretty neat. The tailgate and the taillights is where a lot of the differences come from. For example, the stamped Ranger in the tailgate. I like this. It makes the truck a little bit more butch, more purposeful. Of course, still a reverse camera is still available right here. And of course, the taillights. I actually love this design on the new Ranger. The taillights are way different. And then we come to the bed itself. Yes, not a dampened tailgate. We actually did an aftermarket bed liner by Line X, so we got that all taken care of. I do not have any tonneau cover on this truck at the moment. And total payload for this US spec Ranger, the way you see it here, is about just over 1,400 pounds. Yes, that is less than the European version. Of course, in a lot of parts of the world, they don't have the F-150, and we do. So, of course, you take it with a grain of salt. Now, the hitch. So, of course, a 2-inch receiver. The US spec Ranger is rated to tow 7,500 pounds. And that's approximately the same to what other European Rangers can tow.
If we move along the side here, we can see that we have this. So it's not really a roll bar or anything like that. It's actually plastic. I think Ford calls it a sail plane or something like that. It comes standard on all Wildtracks, and it doesn't look half bad in my opinion, so I just left it on. The Wildtrack also gets some roof rails as standard, so those are pretty handy. Everything else is pretty much the same as the US version. And by now, of course, you're probably wondering what's under the hood. So under the hood of this Ranger is a 2-liter diesel. Yes, only a 2-liter. But you know what? That's actually enough. Now, this thing makes 176 horsepower and 420 Newton meters, which translates to 310 pound-feet of torque. So the same as your gas engine in the States. Now, the horsepower figure is, well, not very high, and this is not a fast truck by any means. And I don't need it to be. It pulls hard enough. I can pass somebody on the road if they're lollygagging. And it's not really, the power isn't an issue for me, like, at all. The engine is paired with a 6-speed manual. So that was actually exactly what I wanted. I wanted a manual. You can get this 2-liter diesel with a 10-speed automatic, which is actually the same as you guys in the States can get. But there have been some reports that 10-speed with this 2-liter diesel is not the best combo. After 80,000 kilometers, you gotta get it remapped, and there's a whole thing. Australians hate it for some reason, and I just decided to go with the manual. I guess I'm just old school like that. All right, let's close the hood. So this is a 2-liter single turbo diesel. You can actually get another version. It's a 2-liter bi-turbo. So 2 turbos, one for low RPM and one for high RPM. That engine makes 213 horsepower and 500 newton meters of torque. So actually a fair bit of a difference. I thought about getting that one, but this one was just too good of a deal to pass up. As I said, I got it used. It had 23,000 kilometers, which is what, 15,000 miles, give or take. So it was pretty much brand new and in very good condition. And it was just such a good deal that I couldn't pass it up. So I actually got this truck for 37 grand. That would be US dollars, 35,000 euros. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. Couldn't really pass it up because new truck prices have gone absolutely insane. I remember, 5 years ago, I was looking at the Wild Tracks and you could get pretty much a top spec for about 41,000 euros. They're now over 50,000. So not really liking that.
Yeah, I wish I had the payload of Micha's truck, but what can you do? I also don't have that kind of a flying buttress sail portion of the design of this truck because that's a Wild Track feature. We don't have the Wild Track in the US. Also, the Wild Track offers the roof rail. I have mounting points for something on the roof, but they don't come from the factory. But now, of course, the most important bit, the powertrain, the engine, and the transmission. So let me show you what I have. Looking under the hood of the US spec truck, there's only one choice, no options for power. It's a straight 4 gasoline powered 2.3 liter, 270 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. It's actually lots of usable power, even at higher elevations. This engine has made it to a 10-speed automatic transmission. And Micha, I'm really jealous because you have a 6-speed manual. You have diesel options, many different engine options. We have one good engine, but I wish there was a little bit more choice. But how about the interiors? Micha, can you show me what's inside your truck?
Okay, let's check out the interior. So it's, pretty much standard Ranger in here. Exactly the same gauge cluster, same center display. The one difference you will notice is the stitching, right? So in the Wild Track trim, it's orange, no matter what exterior color you get. So I really like that this exterior is orange also. It just pairs really well with the interior. So we got a little Wild Track badge over there. Also Wild Track badge on the seats, and the stitching on the seats is also orange. Also the stitching on the shifter is also orange. Now over here we have the standard goodies, so hill descent control, traction control, locking rear diff. Love this, would not buy a truck without it. Automatic parking, auto start stop off, parking sensors off, all that stuff. The same shift on the fly 4x4 system, so you can switch to 4 high while driving up to, I think, 120 kilometers per hour. And you can shift to 4 low up to 10 kilometers an hour, something like that. I'm really, really happy with the truck. And I know the interior of the Rangers, at least this generation, is a bit old now. I still quite like it. The shape of the vents, the display is big enough for me. Yes, these are some hard plastics down here, but you know, it's a truck. It's gotta take a beating, it's gotta last, so it's perfect. All right. Back row, pretty much standard Ranger. Got some rugs there. The seats lift up. You got some storage under there. The top part folds down, so it's actually pretty similar to the US version. Okay, last thing to do is to fire up that diesel. Push button start since this is the top Wildtrak trim. There she goes. Love the sound of the diesel. It's actually not that noisy for a diesel. I forgot to mention another engine option for this is a 3.2 liter 5-cylinder diesel. So it's a bit of a old school engine. It's been around since 2012 when this generation of the Ranger originally released. The front fascia was different. It was updated in 2015 and then again in 2019, which is this. And that 5-cylinder made, I think, 200 horsepower, 470 newton meters, which would be a little more than this. And that engine was bulletproof. You could actually still get it in the 2019 model year, but they were very rare. They were really pushing those 2-liter diesels. Now, another advantage of driving a diesel Ranger is the MPGs you can get. Over 30, which translates to about 7.4 to 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers. So MPGs, a big thumbs up.
Yeah, you probably saw Micha talk about his stitching, his nice Wildtrak logos. This is a lot more simple, and I think that's okay. Cloth seats on this XL STX model truck. I still have slightly offset with different color stitching, and these seats are actually quite comfortable in my opinion. I still really love that we have a traditional parking brake. It's a basic truck, so I still have a very basic key. But then things change a bit. You might be wondering what this is for. I did not put it here by mistake. I'll show you what this is in a second. I just wanted to draw attention to the center console. Of course, this is an automatic shifter. I wish I had that 6-speed. So jealous. But then some of the buttons and some of the controls also differ. A lot of my control panels are right here on the left, closer to the driver's knee. I have my locker, which Micha has. I have my tow haul mode. I have hill descent control, trail control system for slow speed crawling, because this is an FX4. Parking sensors, traction control system, my terrain modes, and my shifter. I do have to stop to go into 4 low. I can switch between 4 high and 2 high, really, at kind of normal speeds. So a few differences here in the center. Also, you may notice a big difference up here. This is a basic truck once again, and I don't have a bigger screen, but that's okay. I'm not a huge fan of big screens. But before I start the engine, I wanted to show you this. I got this on eBay for $10, and it's a trim ring for the ignition on the Ford Ranger. And from the factory, this doesn't come trimmed. And I think for $10, you can buy them in multiple colors. I think that's a really great addition because not only does it look a little bit better, it also kind of makes the key, the ignition, a little bit more stable. So let me power up and show you how it runs. So Micha told you about the price and efficiency of his truck. Let me start with the efficiency. Over the recent trip, you could see right there 21 mpg. Over the life of this truck, I've noticed just below 20 mpg is what this truck has been registering. So not super great efficiency numbers for a smaller vehicle. But of course we like to step on it because this engine revs nice and high and it's quite powerful. It does not match anywhere close to diesel efficiency of Micha's Ranger.
Alright guys, that's it for this video. If you want to follow along on the adventures of this international or European Ford Ranger, you are welcome to do so on Instagram at Wildtrak4x4. Alright, Take care, guys. Thanks for the opportunity to share my truck.
So as you saw there, Miha got his truck used. He paid about $37,000. We also got this truck used. We bought it just a few weeks ago. It's a 2019 model, and it had just over 4,000 miles on the clock. Very low miles, and we paid about $34,500. And it's not the top of the line model by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it has everything that we ever wanted in a mid-size truck. Even though I'm still jealous about the diesel, the extra payload that the European model offers, and some of the other design cues and utility features like the roof rails, but I'm still quite happy with this truck. I want to thank Miha for submitting his Dude I Love My Ride at Home Edition video. I really appreciate that, and hopefully now you know for sure all the differences between the Euro spec Ranger and the US spec one. Thanks for joining me, and check out oldtfl.com for everything automotive in one place, one-stop shop.